Week 3 was not merely a blot on the Dallas Cowboys record, it was a gaping wound, a reminder of fragility disguised as ambition, a collapse televised in prime time that will haunt highlight reels and talk shows for weeks. Because the 31-14 loss to the Chicago Bears was not just bad, it was disqualifying. The kind of performance that forces you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about a team, a roster, and a franchise that prides itself on the star over its helmet, but too often wilts under the weight of that star. And the haunting part of this defeat was not the final score, which already looked ugly, but the way it unfolded, the manner in which it stripped the Cowboys down to their weakest parts and exposed them for all to see. Because while the box score can tell you Caleb Williams went 19 for 28, 298 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and while the stat sheet can tell you Luther Burden crossed the century mark, while Edun and Swift and Moore chipped in, while the Bears averaged chunks of yards per snap, what those numbers cannot fully explain is how utterly powerless Dallas looked, how every defensive snap felt like a prayer, how every completion felt inevitable, how Williams seemed less like a rookie quarterback and more like a surgeon calmly dissecting tissue with steady hands. And the Cowboys' defense, once hyped as fast and punishing, looked more like mannequins in navy and silver, sliding out of position, whiffing tackles, and failing to generate any push at the line of scrimmage. Their pass rush late, their coverage soft, their adjustments non-existent. And that was the horror of it, the sheer inevitability of failure. Because every fan watching could feel it, could sense that this wasn't one of those nights where a key play turns the tide. This was a slow suffocation, the kind of game where the opponent takes a 10-minute drive in the third quarter, and you realize, almost with a sick laugh, that the Cowboys are helpless, that the Bears aren't just winning, they're in control, they're coasting. And if they wanted to, if they had pressed the gas, they could have dropped 50 on Dallas without breaking a sweat. But they didn't have to, they didn't need to, because the Cowboys could not respond, not defensively, not offensively, not emotionally. And that's where the despair sets in, because when a team with playoff aspirations, with Super Bowl branding, with legends of the past hanging like ghosts in the rafters, gets toyed with by a Bears team that has been a punching bag for years, it is not just a loss, it is a reckoning, a reflection of deeper rot, of organizational complacency, of cracks in the foundation that have been papered over by talent and marketing. But now, in a game like this, split open wide, and the first crack came in the form of CeeDee Lamb's ankle, an injury that looked innocuous in real time, but immediately left the offense gasping. Because without him, Dak Prescott was left targeting Jake Ferguson 13 times, as if a tight end known more for grit than explosiveness could carry the weight of an entire receiving corps. And Dak, efficient on paper, 31 of 40, still saw his game undermined by turnovers. Some his fault, some not, but all of them damning. Because in football, the box score doesn't care if a pick bounced off George Pickens' hands or if it came in garbage time. It just records the failure. And in this game, failure was everywhere. It was Williams' fumble ripped out early, costing points. It was Dak under duress, flinging prayers into double coverage. It was red zone trips ending 1 for 4. It was the kind of offensive performance that leaves you muttering, "What if?" but never actually threatening. And yet, the defense remained the true culprit, because the standard in Dallas, the sales pitch to the fans, was that this defense was championship caliber, was ferocious, was built to carry the load when the offense stuttered. But instead, it looked rudderless, like an expansion team trying to learn each other's names. And it wasn't just Parsons' absence, wasn't just Bland's injury, it was systemic, it was coaching. It was Mike Zimmer's schemes looking stuck in another decade. It was soft zone coverage on third and short. It was linebackers like Damone Clark lost in space, missing open field tackles. It was corners bailing at the snap and safeties late to their marks. It was communication breakdowns that left receivers wide open. It was the sort of tape that opponents will salivate over. Because what the Bears did wasn't exotic. It wasn't trickery. It was basic execution against a defense that had no answers. And if the Bears can do it, what happens when Philadelphia or San Francisco or Buffalo lines up across from this unit? What happens when it isn't Caleb Williams but Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes dissecting this defense? The answer is terrifying. And it is why this game reverberates, because it isn't an outlier. It's a warning, and that warning stretches beyond the field. into the coaching offices where Mike McCarthy's stale approach, his unwillingness to adapt mid-game, his stubborn belief in balance and control, is starting to feel like dead weight. Into the defensive staff rooms where assistants loyal to Zimmer and his philosophies offer no new wrinkles, no creative disguises, no halftime adjustments. Into the front office where Jerry Jones continues to sell hope while refusing to address depth, refusing to fortify weak spots, trusting that stars can mask flaws. But as this game proved, when those stars go down, when Lamb limps off, when Parsons isn't available, when Bland is sidelined, the mask is ripped off and the flaws are hideous. And this loss, ugly as it was, became symbolic of a larger truth. The Cowboys are not built to withstand adversity, not mentally, not structurally, not organizationally, because for all the history, for all the branding, for all the glitz of AT&T Stadium and the myth of America's team, the reality is that when games like this happen, when the opponent seizes control, Dallas folds. They fold in ways that are not just physical but psychological. You could see it in the body language, in the slumped shoulders after yet another completion, in the lack of fire after Lamb's injury, in the way the defense trotted back onto the field as if already resigned to the inevitable. And fans see this, they feel it, the same way they've felt it for decades, the same way they've watched promising seasons unravel in December or collapse in January, because that's the other weight of this loss. History, the accumulation of disappointment, the knowledge that this franchise has not been to a Super Bowl since the mid-90s, that every new team is measured not just against the league, but against its own mythology. And this Week 3 loss was not just another L, it was a trigger. It reignited those doubts, that cynicism, that simmering anger from a fan base tired of excuses, tired of hearing "we'll fix it," tired of seeing good regular seasons end in heartbreak. And so in the aftermath of this collapse, the question is not just what went wrong on Sunday, but what is going wrong in Dallas altogether? What needs to change? What can change? Because the path forward is bleak if nothing does. And even now, with Week 4 looming, with Lamb's status in question, with the defense in shambles, with trust in McCarthy waning, the Cowboys stare at a season that feels like it could slip away before it ever truly begins. And the tragedy is that it doesn't have to be this way. Not with this talent, not with this potential, but unless something radical shifts, unless the defense finds its teeth, unless the offense finds a red zone rhythm, unless the coaching staff sheds its stubbornness, this team, this season, may already be slipping into irrelevance. And all fans are left with, as they watch the Bears walk off the field smiling, as they hear Williams praised for his career day, as they see headlines calling Dallas frauds, all fans are left with is one word, one bitter syllable that sums up the night and perhaps the state of the team: sucks.